Alright, welcome back. We're on episode 8 of the SOG Survival Campaign. We arrive on the scene of the night of day 3. The base being overran by Viet Cong. A pretty brutal attack. Not sure what the inside of the base looks like yet. It doesn't sound like we have a lot of friendly resistance left inside the base fighting against these guys. I'm low on ammo for my primary. I don't have my secondary loaded right now, so go ahead and get some bullets in that. Luckily I've got some grenades. I do appreciate the stopping power of this model 1911, part of the SOG DLC. We're going to try to get into base and figure out what's going on. My biggest fear in the back of my mind when something like this happens is that our intel officers are dead or being killed off. If they were all dead, I would know because you would get a notification that they've all been killed. Getting some really dirty up close work here. This guy I miss because I think my crosshair is kind of thrown off being next to those sandbags. I definitely hit him. I have one bullet left in my sidearm, so we're really going to make it count here. But you can't miss if you just put it to their side. There you go. So we have one friendly unit left standing and one incapacitated, and that is everyone left here at base right now. So I guess we came right on time. That guy we just killed was making his way around the left side of base headed towards the intel officer suite, which would be a disaster if he went in there and just started shooting those guys because they wouldn't stand a chance. So we've managed to save base camp for now. And the rest of the nightfall isn't too bad. We do have to quell another attack here soon. But this episode, we're going to, as far as gameplay goes, we're going to do a lot of routine stuff, kind of keeping the base safe and fighting off enemy attacks. Luckily, every time we fight off an attack, we are dwindling their numbers. Sooner or later, they won't have any attack units left, and we can focus on pushing out into enemy territory. Alright, all of our intel officers are still alive, which is a good thing. And if we can quell enough of these attacks, like I said, they will stop attacking at some point, and we can really focus our efforts outwards. We managed to pick up one of the L2A1s. If it looks familiar, it's because you've been watching Star Wars. It's actually the weapon that they modeled the Stormtrooper blaster after. I think it was this gun and some other guns as well that they kind of took inspiration from. In this DLC, it's really handy. It shoots really well from the hip and has good power. I rack up a lot of kills here just kind of spraying into where that crowd of enemy are. They're throwing Molotovs, and here soon, right about here, you'll see a grenade come through. Right there, boom. Luckily, I managed to see it and grab some cover, and it didn't bounce past that sandbag. Another thing we're going to talk about during this episode is some of the bug fixes and additions slash updates that are coming right about now. I guess about the time that this video comes out, I'll be updating the mission on the Steam Workshop. And that's going to include a lot of just stuff that I've noticed in my own playthrough. I haven't got a lot of feedback from other users or players yet, so until that comes, I'm just going to be playing through on my own and just fixing stuff that I'm noticing. These two dudes getting close, but that grenade and this L2 kind of takes care of it. We'll finish off this attack and then I'll get a list of the updates and stuff out, and we'll just start kind of talking over that while I do some of this base stuff. Managed to get that guy with the last couple rounds in that burst. This dude animation is stuck, so I'm gonna drag him for a second and then release. And it fixes that. That is on the bug fixing list, although it won't be fixed in this update. For now, let's just go through the change log and see what's new and what's going to be fixed in the new update. Firstly, helicopters kind of loitering after dropping off recruits. I've tweaked that script and it seems like it's fixed it, so that should be improved now to where they just drop them off and then they exfil as they should. The next one is going to be some of the boxes at base not saving their inventories properly. That's kind of a big one. I found the problem, which could just be popping up just during my playthrough due to the circumstances, but it could be a problem for other people as well. In testing, the boxes are working properly, so you should have working persistence in your boxes again in case you encountered the same bug I did. If you go out into the field, out in enemy territory, enemy units spawn. When you get near them, they spawn up. When you get away from them, they despawn. The way all those work, the spawning and despawning, is it requires a player to make enemy units spawn, but they won't despawn if there's still blue units around. So if you take AI with you and you leave the area or you have to respawn, the battle will continue. But what was happening was all my AI guys would die and it would just be me. And if I became incapacitated, the enemy units would despawn and I would see them despawning, which is not ideal. So I got that fixed to where they will stick around even if you are incapacitated. The next thing on the list was some of the Law AT shoulder fired rockets that are at base that you'll find in the inventory of some of the vehicles and in some of the boxes. Those AT launchers did not have the rockets for them, so you couldn't use them. That was just an oversight in the editor, so now that they will include their rockets and you'll be able to use them. Let's see, the next one is the 12 o'clock drop box, the supply drop that comes at the dawn of each new day. I encountered that box not having enough weapons in it. It should have 5 weapons in it, and I had a box spawn with only 1, so I enacted some measures in that code to make absolutely sure that all of those weapons will spawn. The next bug is the yellow markers that indicate gunfire. So if you're looking at the map and you see the little yellow circles flashing, that happens whenever there's gunfire. Some of those yellow markers were getting stuck on the map, and so you just had these little yellow markers that just stuck around. I made kind of a cleanup loop for those markers to make sure that if they did get stuck, they would be removed. One of the new changes is whenever you get into a new day, the cooldown rate of recruits, so like when you recruit new units, the cooldown number will reduce by 1. I've got it set to where it will reduce by 2 now. Another big change is your Blue 4 recruits. The units that you recruit in now, in general, no matter which ones you recruit, they all have higher skill levels. This, in testing, has made them last longer in defense and make them more useful in the field. They're just more skilled units compared to the VC that you're fighting. A miscellaneous change is in your ACE self actions. There was a check health action that has been removed since it is now redundant. Another change is I fixed the progress report not showing the data correctly. It should show your kills, deaths, vehicle kills, and then your badges, and it was showing that information out of order. Okay, so the last thing that we're looking at is that when enemy AI units are killed and are revived, they go into the downed state and are revived by their teammates. What happens is their loadout changes and they're getting some of the US weaponry instead of what their original loadout would be, and so that's going to be fixed in the update as well. That's pretty much it for the change log, which I'll have a written version of that either in the description or in the Steam workshop, because I'll be updating the actual mission file in the Steam workshop. Alright, so back to episode 8. Just finish this one off with some new recruits. We got a little bit of looting to do so we can stack up some more supplies. These guys are just looking better all the time. We're getting some of the M1 carbines. Soon we'll be unlocking like the M1 Garand, M14s. Once you get to like day 5 or so, you're starting to sit pretty. This one right here, I never did it, but I wanted to just go inside. I didn't know you could go inside these things, and you can actually go out this door as well. Just give it a crouch, you know, you can pop out the door. You could probably shoot out the windows too. The recruits that just came in, they had day 3 gear because they spawned during technically day 3. So now day 4, like we'll probably see some better stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and get some more mines on this north side of the base. I just wish we could surround the base with mines, but in a perfect world. Good thing about a lot of these AI is they do end up having a lot of the same weapons that we have, and I start to notice that a little too much because that is part of this bug that's going on, where if they go into the revive state, it swaps their weapons. This BAR right here is calling my name, and we're going to be able to use that at the end of this episode and into the episode 9. Just grab all these mags. The BAR in this DLC is just really fun to use. It's punchy. It's got that sluggish but very cool and controllable rate of fire. And it's just a lot of fun to use. And if you put kind of like the M1 Garand in this mod, or in this DLC, kind of one hit to center mass with the Garand or the BAR tends to put people on their ass. So if you just take your time with your shots and just land one center mass, like, you can kill most enemies. This was a pretty good drop right here. You'll see in this other box that I've only got one weapon in this drop, and that should not be happening. So we've got some code in there now to make sure that we get enough in our drops. I'm just going to leave the other one because I don't need all that food and stuff so bad in this playthrough. Having less players online, I've got plenty of food and water for myself. I really should be putting some sandbags around these helicopters, but I just, me working by myself, I have to multitask so much. This dude gets hit by the Jeep. I don't know how. I kind of stop for a second and shake my head because I was hoping he would go for the revive state, but he didn't win the dice roll. You'll notice here how some of those yellow markers were getting stuck. I'm happy to say that we have that fixed now. We're going to whip out this BAR here at the end of this episode. Kind of midday, day 4. Finally coming into some better weapons for ourselves and for our recruits, and really whittling down the enemy's attack forces. Sooner or later we'll have, depleted their reinforcements or their reserves, and we're going to really take the fight to them. So we'll figure out what we can do with this BAR and how we go out into the field in episode 9. We will see you there. Thanks again for watching. And if you've been keeping up with the episodes and watching and enjoying it, just leave a like or a comment and let us know that you are watching this shit. Alright, we'll see you in the next one.